Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back everyone. Nice to meet you again, guys. Okay, let's start with the experiment. Listen. Let's start with the experiment. Okay, now we have aluminum foil. This is the aluminum foil. We have water. That is the water. Can you see the water? We have normal water here. Can you see that? Okay, and also this aluminum foil. Okay, now we have two pieces of aluminum foil. They are the same, okay, but this piece of aluminum foil, I will bend it to make it smaller, very small, like that. Okay, yeah, they are the same, but this one big and they are small. They are the same mass, the same material, both of them made the same material. Okay, guys, they are the same material. Okay, and what will happen when we put both of them in the water? Look over here. Let me to focus on my experiment. Can you see that, guys? Can you see that? Yes, one of them float and the other one sink. Can you see that? One of them float, the other one sink. Why it's happened? They are the same. Why it's happening, guys? Anyone have an idea? Guys? Please give me your answer. Give me your answer, please. Okay, give me your answer. Okay, now that's happening, guys, because of the density. That's our session for today. Now let's start to read to understand what is the density, what's happened. Now let's explain with our friend Muhammad Ajmi. Yes, Muhammad? What will happen if we have a ball, and this ball, of course, full of air, and this ball, if we put on water, of course, this one float. But in other hand, if we put some sands inside this one full with sand, of course, this one sink. Moves down. Why? Because of the weight or because of the mass and because of something called density. What is the density? Density, guys, that is the comparing between mass and volume. Now let's comparing between mass and volume. Any density for any object equals that mass divided by volume. To calculate the density for any object, in fact, we are calculate mass divided by volume. That is the density. Now look over for the relationship between each one. At the beginning, guys, this one is density, okay? And this one is mass, and this one is volume. Okay, now density, mass, volume. Let's speak about the relationship between each one and be more concentration with me to understand this one. Now here, about the density and mass, the relationship between both is something called direct proportional or direct relationship. Or when we have more mass, we have more density. When we have less mass, we have less density. They are direct proportional. They will be like each other. When we increase the mass, we increase the density. And when we have less mass, we have less density. Because that this ball will float on the water. Why? Because of the less mass and less density and huge buoyant force and can float. But in other hand, if we fill this ball with sand, now we have more mass. And more density, and this one will sink, will move down, and we have less buoyant force. Again, density, relationship with mass, direct. More mass, more density. Less mass, less density. In other hand, guys, now the relationship between volume and density is inversely proportional. It means opposite with each other. More volume, okay, less density. Okay, ya shabab? More volume, less density. And more and less volume, we have more density. They are opposite with each other. That's why when we have these two pieces, they are the same material and they are the same mass, but they are different in volume. More volume, less density. Less volume, more density. Excellent, excellent. More volume, less density, float. Less volume, more density, sink. That's why when you can see that here with my picture in my board here, can you see that we have here this very huge ship? Okay, this very huge ship. Where is that? Yes, here. Yeah, this one. Okay, now can you see that here? Now we have very huge ship and made up of iron, but this ship can float. In other hand, this block of iron sink. They are the same material and they are the same mass, but they're different in volume. Big volume, less density, high buoyancy force, can float. Now less volume, more density, less buoyancy force, and sink. That is the difference. Now in general, guys, when we are talking about density, in fact we are talking about the comparing between mass and volume. Comparing between mass and volume. Relationship between mass and volume. Which one bigger than the other one? Mass, volume, like that. Okay, look over with me this amazing video to understand more about the buoyancy and density. Okay, now listen please.
The kayak up. Archimedes discovered that this buoyant force is equal to the weight of water displaced by the hull.
Okay guys, can you see that here we have more volume? We have more volume because that we have less density and we have also buoyancy force, and this object can float. In general, more volume, less density. Look over what's happened now.
That's Archimedes' principle. The buoyant force acts like it is concentrated at the center of the submerged hull, a point called the center of buoyancy. And the kayak will float.
Oh, look over what's happened here. Now we have more mass. We have more mass. And of course, more mass, they will briefly will sink, but still float. But more mass, this will increase the density. Increase the density. Okay, look over what's happened here.
As long as the load is lighter than the maximum weight of water the hull can displace. But
oh, look over here now. When we have more mass, very huge density, and they will die, inshallah. Okay. Now, here in this video, guys, you can understand that the difference between mass and volume. More mass, more density. Less mass, less density. More volume, less density. Less volume, more density. We are talking about density, and we said that the density, the relationship between mass and volume, and we said that D equals M divided by V. And you see that here, M is mass. And if you remember, we can measure mass by unit gram or kilogram, both of them right. And volume, if you remember, we can measure volume by using any unit cube, centimeter cube, for example. Centimeter cube, for example. That is the unit of mass, and that is the unit of volume. Because that we can say that the density measuring by gram per centimeters cube. Grams per centimeter cube. Okay, guys? Okay, that is the meaning of the unit of the okay, that is the unit of density. That is the unit of density. Okay, shabab? Okay. I'm sorry, guys. My son wants to say hi. Yes. 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 Okay. Let's complete, guys. Now here, that is the density. انزل يا عم انت وجعت راسك عشان تطلع دلوقتي عايز تنزل اتفضل انزل اهو يلا. I'm sorry guys. Okay, now grams centimeter cubed. that is the density. That is the density. Density what? That is density unit. Okay. That is density unit. Okay. Now I have finished. Just let's take a little bit look over in your book. You can see that here why the density here different than this and this. You can see that here the particles inside this cork will be a little bit away from each other because this one has less mass than this one. This one, the particles will be closer more than the other one, like that, guys. Look over for at the end. 1 cubic centimeter of steel is denser than 1 cubic centimeter of plastic. What does it mean? It means if we have 1 centimeter of steel, okay, and 1 centimeter steel, double E, okay, and 1 centimeter of plastic, they are the same volume, okay. They are the same volume, but the difference in what? Different in particles inside. The steel particles will be very, very close from each other because that this one have more mass. This one have more mass, okay, and this one have less mass because of the particles. Particles will be far away from each other, okay. Now this one will be far away from each other because that this plastic float, but the steel sink because the steel denser than plastic. If you look over for the balloon down here, okay, this is really amazing, guys, when you understand about the balloon, why the balloon can float and the other one can't. Okay, now the balloon can move up. Why? Because of the warm air or hot air, the particles inside the balloon will be like that. And all the particles of air will be far away from each other because that this one will be less density than the air outside, okay. And in this case the balloon can move up. Why? Because of the less density. Okay, guys, I have finished our session today talking about the density. Density is comparing between mass and volume. When we have more mass, we have more density. Less mass, less density, and the volume will be opposite. More volume, less density. Less volume, more density. And that is the example for all of these. And also the density unit of density, grams per centimeter cube. Thanks a lot, guys. I hope you understand. If you have a question, please ask me.